As we think back on the events of 9/11, they taught us through their actions that day of what it means to be human. They showed us the value of duty, loyalty, self-sacrifice, and love.
The only way we'll triumph over terrorism and conquer the senseless tragedy of that horrible day is by celebrating the kindness of the human spirit.
Like many my age, I was not born at the time the terrorist attacks of September 11 took place.
I don't have any memories of 9/11, but it almost feels like I don't need to. I see the effects of that day in my parents and my community 18 years later.
It's very important for the United States and PCTI to remember what happened on September 11th because it was one of the darkest times in the history of the United States.
We should remember this day to remind ourselves why security has changed so radically since then, and that despite the devastation on our nation, the free American spirit will never shatter, and together we remain strong.
Even though a lot of people lost their lives that day, a lot of lives were also saved because people were willing to help one another.
Instead of boarding the ferry, however, my dad and his coworker, Neil, decided to take the office water and hand it out to people on the street. As first responders started to show up on the scene, Neil, as a licensed EMT, decided to help load injured people onto the ambulances, and my father followed along. After a while doing this work, however, the second tower was soon hit and panic ensued. As Neil and my father were running away, one of the towers collapsed and the two got covered in ash from the implosion. After it was deemed that Ground Zero was relatively safe, my dad and Neil returned and helped people who got injured by the rubble.
In my family, September 11th has always been a close call. My uncle had been working at the World Trade Center for many years and had said many times that it's a good place. He had loved that job and position, but had gotten laid off. Little did our family know that he was saved from tragic events that followed the next month.
My mom sat in the hospital bed waiting for her doctor at her monthly checkup in regards to her pregnancy with me. The wall she was facing was glass, so there was a clear view of both towers. The hospital was located right across the river in New Jersey. She witnessed the second plane strike the tower. She was filled with utter disbelief. Moments later, she then saw both towers collapse to the ground. She describes it as one of the scariest moments of her life.
The pain and trauma does not just go away. It resonates with the families and friends who lost their loved ones. Even those who were born after will grieve for the family members they never had a chance to meet. The innocent lives that were taken will never be forgotten.
The United States remains whole throughout all of this because of patriotism. Patriotism is important because it is the love for one's people which can drive individuals to act in truly selfless ways.
Patriotism is very important to me. I know my duty to this nation and I'm thankful for what it has given me. We are the future for America and we have to protect and preserve it to make it the best it can be. We should have the desire to make this country thrive and take pride in that. We have to stand together and unite to push for the growth of this nation.
We have an endless amount of men and women who would do anything to protect and serve this country in every way possible. Not many countries can say that.
Remembering is an honor we owe to the victims and the responders and to our nation. Without remembering 9/11, we can't hope to understand any of them or hope to understand ourselves.
I would like to give the responders of 9/11 a big thank you. They were such a major part of why there were survivors of 9/11.
Thank you. Thank you for risking your life to help others. Thank you for being a hero. You will be remembered forever and your sacrifices will not have been in vain.
I do not think there are enough ways to thank the responders of 9/11. Without them, we can only imagine how many more casualties there would be. They risked and sacrificed everything, including their own lives, which was certainly a very admirable act. People like them are exactly what this world needs more of. They embody what it really means for the United States to be home of the free and of the brave.
On 9/11, each year in school, a moment of silence is observed to remember those who gave all, those who gave some, and those who risked all. But a moment is not enough to honor these men and women. A day is not enough. A week is not enough. These men and women must always be remembered.
I'm filled with grief and desolation, remembering everyone who died that day. They were fathers and mothers, sons and daughters. Imagining how families who lost someone must have felt destroys me. Yet, I also think about how strong we, as Americans, were that day. That day we proved what it means to be an American.
PCTI will always remember.